whispering ramble here today about video games. Just kind of a little bit of the. I really haven't been playing anything, but some games I'm interested in, stuff like that. I do have a game coming and stuff, but it's not here yet. And a couple of games that I'll just talk about. I think kind of underrated. Maybe not underrated as much as maybe under the radar. I'll call them. Games. Just like I said, talking about just kind of basic news about video games and stuff. I am doing this without gum. I want to attempt to do a few more videos here and there without gum. So if you do like the videos without gum, please comment. I typically don't say this, but please like and comment them because I don't do them often because they do not view. They're some of the worst viewing videos on my channel, if not the worst. Outside of the Premier League ones, which seem to have just become the worst. I don't know why they were really good, but anyway, I would love to do more. Honestly, I used to do non-gum videos back in the day on my channel. And if you're into no gum chewing, also my other channel is no gum chewing at all. So, but anyway, video games. I'll get to these games here in a few minutes. Games I'm excited for. I was actually looking at. I just went to GameStops because I'm not in the loop anymore with games like I used to be. Like I used to always know what was coming out. I'd watch all the kind of shows. This is back kind of when E3 was a thing. You'd see what was coming out, and I'd be going to GameSpot and IGN and then Giant Bomb when that first started. It's not Giant Bomb's still around, but I don't think it has anybody who was originally there or any of the founders. I know Gershman does his own thing, and I do watch his videos, but I'm watching his like ranking of NES games and stuff. Like I'm not in the know with the newer stuff, but I wanted to look. I'm like, what's coming out in 26 that I'm interested in? And there's 3 games that have my eye. One of them's a remake or a remaster because they do pump them out. But at least it's an older game. But it's Resident Evil. Resident Evil Requiem. That looks cool. I saw a video on it of like this kind of like tall looking enemy. Like I don't know if it's. I think it's a woman. I don't know if it's even human, to be honest with you. But it comes in. It's like tall. It's like going underneath. It's got to duck slightly under, but it's not ducking. It's kind of like the creepy kind of movements under doorways and stuff. Chasing your character or stalking or whatever, but it looked cool, and I was like, I'm always interested in Resident Evil, and I'm hoping it's good. Usually they aren't bad. I've talked about how I played Resident Evil. Village is not as good as 7 in my opinion. I don't think it's even close. I think Village in my second playthrough, I did not like as much. The first time I was like, yeah, it's still cool. It was not nearly as creepy as 7. But it did some cool stuff, but I don't know, it just didn't, it's not nearly as good as 7 in my opinion, but it's still a solid enough game. I'm not going to bash on it. It's not a bad game. Resident Evil rarely has bad games in the series. Even 6. I like some of 6. I didn't do all of 6 because it was different scenarios. Like, I remember I think Ada Wong had one I did. I did Chris's, I did Leon's. Wesker's kid, I believe, has one. Maybe it's just the 4 of them. I don't know if there's another one as well. Very action-y, although Leon's and Ada's were a little more survival horror-ish, creepy, at least atmosphere. But 5 is one that's just a pure action game, and I love 5. I mean, it's action horror. Like, 4 is when it started to kind of veer out of straight-up survival horror and then more into action horror, although 4 still had a nice atmosphere and stuff like that. 5 literally was, and I love 5. I've played through 5 like 7, 8 times, but it's not creepy in any way to me at all, and I think it's just action horror. I mean, even the atmosphere isn't even really that creepy, but I like the game. It is fun to play. I don't know why I actually love it as much as I do. I mean, it is a good game, but like, you'd think I wouldn't, just because it's just, out of them, I think all the games in the franchise, it's the least creepiest by far. But that game, and then I forgot the new Bond. Was it First Light or something like that? It's coming out. That looks cool. I've seen some videos on that. It looks pretty cool. Obviously, you got to see when it goes. These are, I think, Resident Evil, I think, is February. I think the 007 game's March. And there has not been a 007 in a game in a while, right? So hopefully that ends up good. Because I am a fan of those types of games. Sorry, I have a scab here that I'm like, I pick at things like that, like a scab, and my nails, and the cuticles, and beyond. But anyway, those two, and the Fatal Frame 2, I don't know if it's a straight up remake or it's a remaster, but I'm picking that up. I want to put a pre-order on that. I think that's $50 out of the gate. I would just love to have it, and hey, even at $50, that is a lot cheaper than it would cost to buy a used copy for the Xbox, and especially in the case of the PS2, it's like $1.50, I think. The Xbox, I think it might even pop over $100 now. So that's the cheapest. The cheapest version would probably be. I don't know if it's downloadable. You know what the crazy thing is? But I don't have a PS3. If I had a PS3, I'd still be able to access it. Because I had a bunch of games downloaded on my PS3, but not on. I can't remember. I'd have to. Maybe I had them on my old profile. I had a different profile name, and then my PS3 died, in 2010, and I had 360 for a bit, and then I got it again, but I changed the name at some point to what it is now. But I think I had that downloaded over there and some other stuff as well. Tokyo Jungle, I think it was called. Right, it was that game. Was it just called Tokyo Jungle? It was that game where you use different animals and stuff, and you gotta go through and you're in gangs with other animals and shit. It was actually kind of cool. And so I had some other stuff on there too. I can't remember everything, but what else? I've been playing Tecmo Super Bowl, the Super Nintendo version. I started the other night. I've played 4 or 5 games for a season. I'm using the Packers. I try to use a team that's not incredible, but the Packers didn't make the playoffs that year. The year came out. But you still dominate. You really do. It's kind of hard not to, unless you use the worst team, and then even still. But that's really all I've been playing. Did I play no, I did the browsing video. I was not playing any games. And obviously Silent Hill F I had played. Still no interest at the moment to go back and do a second playthrough of that. That kind of bothers me more as it goes on, because it's I'm going to be forced to do a second playthrough if I want to get more of I don't know what they consider the canon ending. There's 4 or 5 endings, I think, but I gotta sit there and be okay, I gotta play through it again. Although I think some puzzles might change, and some of the cutscenes change a little, so that's kind of cool, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of going back to games immediately after I complete them. And then sometimes I never go back to them, or I go back to them a while later, which is probably the better play, because then I'll forget a lot of what I played. So it'll seem a little fresh. But those are the 3 games of Fatal Frame, as I go into something else, that I'm most interested in coming 26. Other games will probably pop up as well, but those are the ones I'm completely, the ones I do want to play are those 3. Fatal Frame, of course, is a game from, when did Fatal Frame 2 come out? Crimson Butterfly, 04 maybe? Or was it 03? Might have been 03. I think the first one came out in 02, but I could be wrong. It's either 02, 03, 03, 04. The first 2 came out. And then I think the third one was 05. But nothing else really. There's a lot of this, and I've talked about this, I kind of like now, because obviously games are now $70. I mean, you can get them on sale quick enough and shit. And those are Resident Evil, I'll pay the $70 for. The Bond game, I don't know if I'd get it immediately. If it's reviewing, everybody's loving it, the critics, the users, if everybody really likes it, and it looks cool, I'll pick it up. But if it's kind of middling or stuff, I would still get it, but I ain't paying $70 for it. And the Fatal Frame game's 50 out of the investigate. But once again, with games like that, I'm afraid it's going to disappear off the face of the earth after like a month. So that's why I want to pre-order that. But there's a lot of those like $30, $40 games that come out. And they've been coming out for a while. I think that happened kind of, the PS4, Xbox One generation is when that really started. Get more of these lower budget titles, and some of them are really good. So there are cheaper varieties to get games. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff you wouldn't expect to like, and then you're like, oh, this is cool. But there is a lot of survival horror stuff that's in that range that comes out. And a lot of it kind of has an older school feel to it. Some of it looks more like, 360, PS3 era type stuff. But if the price is there, the price is there. I did order a game on the Black Friday sale from Amazon. It's supposed to come some point today. But I'm kind of, that was a game that some people really like, some people didn't. But at the $20 I got it for, I want to play it. I'm going to do a pickup on it with a drink review. I got a drink specifically yesterday to do with that video. And that might be going up. I don't know what's going up. It might be the same day as it. Oh no. I forget. I don't know. I'm a little off track with my videos when I want to put them up. The last video I had up was the Burger King. Yeah. But I get asked for whispering white videos. I'll be like, oh, you gotta do more. Why don't you do more? And part of me is just like, yeah, honestly, they don't view. But I think it's easier to do them sometimes too. I think I can hold my whisper in a whispering video for longer than I can when I'm chewing gum. I seem to go into soft spoken more often. I don't know why. But games, I'm looking forward to those. did I talk about this? I think I talked about it briefly, and I said I would talk about it more in a games ramble. Somebody's asking about it. With Xbox, now like, Halo, the third remake or the second remake of the original is coming to PS5, and you're most likely going to see the other ones make their way over to PS5 as well. Speaking about coming over, I think Silent Hill 2 is coming over. The remake is coming to Xbox soon. But that wasn't a Sony. That was a timed exclusive. That's not like a Sony property. That's Konami. But like, they were like, I think it was just a comment like, Xbox is kind of dead. I kind of agree with that to an extent. But the funny thing is, Xbox, I was gonna call it. The fuck is that new system I just made up? Xbox has been kind of fucked since the announcement. If anybody remembers this, and this would have been maybe 2012 or very early in 2013. It was probably, actually, it might have been E3 2012 or a press conference in 2012. I can't remember if E3 was already kind of going by the wayside at that point. No, I don't think it was. But when they announced the Xbox One, they ended up not doing a bunch of the things. I remember they were like talking about how, like, you're not going to be able to like pretty much get rid of your used games. Like, they're just only could be used on your console or some shit, and you're not going to be able to like trade them with friends or let people borrow them. And people were like, what the hell? And then they said the price, I think at the time, was $500. And then Sony came out and was like, yeah, dude, you can give your... They had, like, I remember they had a specific thing, like, here's how you can lend your friends borrow games. Or just a guy, like, passing a guy a PlayStation 4 game, like... And then they were like, the system's only $400. Xbox really screwed themselves, like Microsoft screwed themselves. And I think it was 2012, it must have been 2012. Or it might have been like... it could have even been 2013 over the summer. Or like the late spring, early summer, and then they released the price point and everything. Either way, they were screwed. They had to walk back a bunch of shit that didn't end up happening, which would have helped. But then PlayStation 4 outsold it by a ton. I don't regret getting the Xbox One in 2016. It was a Black Friday sale. We were deciding like, oh, we want PS4 or Xbox One. We're looking at games that we'd both like to play together, and then. One she would like, one's I would like. And I said, let's get the one. And I was like, ugh, that was a mistake. Because I got the Xbox One and they had cool exclusives. And then no exclusives were coming out afterwards. Or not many that I was interested in. The PS4 was pumping out a ton. But that's when I think that was the kind of the end of Microsoft. Because the original Xbox is still my favorite. I love that thing. And for a first console, because obviously Microsoft was, it's Windows operating system, but PC was Microsoft's domain, and to make a console and have it sold like 30 million units. Obviously, it didn't come close to the PS2, but it outsold the Cube, the GameCube, and the Dreamcast was screwed at that point anyway. Or pretty much just about done at that point. They might have discontinued the Dreamcast at like the end of '01. I don't know, or it might have been in '02 actually. I remember getting a Dreamcast in 2002 used because I got the GameCube originally, and then I was like, this thing, games were getting delayed that I wanted. It was like, this sucks. The third-party support wasn't there. It wasn't for like the whole generation, pretty much, for the Cube. And I'm like, I want to play something else. I ended up getting the Xbox in March of '02. But I got the Dreamcast in January of '02 for $20 used at GameStop. The thing was $20 used. I wish I still had that. I mean, I had other Dreamcasts over the years. I wish I still had a Dreamcast now, because it is a cool system. The Dreamcast, even more so than the Cube, feels like the last video game console, if that makes any sense. It just feels, and I guess because, my first systems, like my first system I played a ton of was the original NES and the Atari 7800. I think I played some 2600 too, but 7800 and the NES, and then the Genesis, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx, and Onward, and 64. Dreamcast still had that kind of feel, which might have been a bad thing too, but they also had they didn't get a lot of third-party support either, and then the PS2 had a DVD in it, and then it was game over for the Dreamcast, and Sony and Sega for making consoles. But the original Xbox, I loved that thing. It had a hard drive in it. It was more powerful than the other two systems. You could do more. You could put custom soundtracks on it for certain games. Like, you could burn your CDs onto the thing. And then a good amount of games, you could use custom soundtracks. Like Burnout games, I think you could. State of Emergency was one I had custom soundtracks in. And then the 360 still did it, but not. And then it kind of just went away. I think they only did it a little bit, and then it went away. I'm pretty sure 360 still had some games you could do custom soundtracks. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But the Xbox definitely did it, and they just had a hard drive in there. Because I remember I didn't even realize that. I'm like, I'm going to get the Xbox. I could have got the PS2 as well, but I was like, Xbox. I was like, the first game I got was Max Payne. It was awesome. And those kind of games were better. Like, the Max Paynes were also on the PS2, but it wasn't even close. Like, they just performed better and looked better on the Xbox. Because the Xbox was almost like a PC, as a console. And it was, a lot of people called it the spiritual successor to the Dreamcast because they got all the Sega shit. Panzer Dragoon Order, House of the Dead 3, Crazy Taxi 3, Gun Valkyrie. What else did they have? They had other ones that were exclusive to the thing. Those four I totally remember. There was a few others as well. Stuff like Sonic came out on everything. But what else was there? Those four. There was definitely a few other ones. Oh, Jet Set Radio Future. And Sega GT 2002 were both another two. It was like they were just like, okay, everything's going to the. Maybe they saw the power of it. And they're like, cool, we can put this shit out on here. And there was a few more as well, I believe. Otogi. I would love to. I had the first one and played through the first one. Loved it. I had the second one briefly. Did not finish it. This is a while back. If you go to my old Buried Under Cliches channel, there's a pickup video where I get Otogi 2 Immortal Warriors. I think the first one's called Myth of Demons. Cool games where you could bust up the environment and stuff. Really cool kind of hack and slash games. Those were also Sega, I believe. They only were on the Xbox, and now are expensive Xbox games. Not insanely expensive, but probably $50 to $70 type games. And then the 360 did incredible for them. Even with the Red Ring of Doom, they had to get that thing out early to have a jump on PlayStation. I mean, Nintendo. The Wii ended up going nuts. The PlayStation 3 ended up outselling it in the long run because they were still making games for it. I feel like into even the PS4's existence. The 360 was kind of abandoned once the Xbox One came out. And the Xbox was like almost completely abandoned once the 360 came out outside of a few games. But the 360 sold well, and the thing with the 360, even though the PS3 ended up outselling it by a little bit, but everybody was playing the third-party shit on the fucking 360. The Call of Duties and stuff were much more popular on the 360. That was their system. Even with the Red Ring, they were able to fix it. You didn't have to do the towel trick where you overheat the thing. And then, like I said, all the Xbox One stuff happened. And it's been going downhill since the announcement of Like since that announcement with the price and all the other crap that they had to walk back, it's been going downhill since then. And now, in a certain units sold for this generation is weird because you had the COVID shit. When it came out, literally like what is it, 2020? The systems came out. People were hoarding those things out of the gate too. So Sony, there might be some artificial sales in there too. But either way, the PS5 has outsold it by a ton. And now Xbox is just putting all their shit out on like everything, you know. Sony has put a couple things out on. I mean, it started with MLB The Show, and some other stuff has come. I think has gone out to the Xbox as well, which is fine. That's a cool thing. But the thing is, Xbox is like doing it with everything. So you exclude. Like, there's like no point. Like Game Pass is really cool. They did well, and I think Game Pass also, while it helped them and it's a cool service, it also bogs them down too. Because I think I've heard third-party developers being like, well, I guess they're first party now because they bought Activision and shit and everybody else, and it did not fucking help them. But they're all like, yeah, dude, like we're losing kind of like, I feel like they're losing money in a way. Some things, I don't know, I could be wrong on that too, but you're just like, oh my god, like, and Game Pass is cool as shit. But the thing, what is Game Pass now? $30 for the Ultimate, which gives you like I think EA access and maybe the Ubisoft has one too, a service you can get the games on. It's like $30, which in reality a month, if you play enough games, is still not a bad price. Especially because I think most of the games are coming day one, but only if you have the highest tier. If you do not have the highest tier of Xbox Game Pass, you will not get some of those exclusives or, you know, day one. Right now, I think there's still timed exclusives. Stuff's coming to PlayStation, but it's not coming the same day, I don't think. By next generation, it probably will be. Who knows? But and Xbox did that. You know, they screwed themselves there because it's like, well, why? If I have a choice between two, and even if it's a timed exclusive, most games I'm going to be able to wait 6 months, a year. Indie wasn't even a year. It wasn't even in 6 months, I don't think, between both systems. So, I mean, Xbox is making money there, though, because Sony's got to pay them to get their shit on their system. Nintendo has to pay them. So they're making money there, but I feel like people aren't going to be buying the next Xbox. I don't know, maybe they will. Some people also just like the feel of the Xbox controller more, and that actually might, you know, come to play. But I don't know. I wouldn't say they're dead, but they're kind of just there, you know. And apparently a bunch of Halos are in the works. I've read somewhere, but let me talk about some of these games real quickly. Just some games that if you have these systems, check them out. One of them's Stuntman. I've talked about them in the past, but Stuntman for the Game Boy Advance, really great game, man. I didn't think that when I got this, I got it because I was like, Stuntman's cool. I love the Stuntman. The other two games, this was a port of the PlayStation 2 one. The first one, and then a Stuntman Ignition was on the PS3 and 360. There might have been some kind of version on the Wii. I don't know for sure. But this game's cool. It's a bite-sized version of the PS2 one, but it does well. Like, it's still gonna piss you off. It's still trial and error annoys the shit out of you. But it's still a cool game. It looks nice and it plays fairly well too, which is cool. And the cool thing is now, like, with the Retron Square, I can play it on the TV, which is nice. But I would check this out if you have a GBA. And if you could have the Retron, or if you have the Cube, the Game Boy Advance player for the GameCube as well. Right? Yes, they had the thing. You attached it to the bottom, and a disc had to go in there as well. And yeah, I think, right? I'm not dreaming that, right? This is a cool game. Another handheld game. This probably sold well for the Vita, but Uncharted Golden Abyss. One of the few Vita games that did not end up elsewhere. I don't think it ended up elsewhere, but this game is really cool. It used every gimmick that the Vita had. Both touch screens. You had to hold up. You had to use the cameras to take pictures, but you also had to hold. I remember I specifically remember there was a puzzle where you had to hold up the thing. If you guess you were in sunlight, it would have worked, but you could hold it up to a light. I held up the light in my room. I held it up to it. You'd be able to see something that, you know, you'd be able to see what you needed to see and stuff. And you could the gyroscope thing, right? You could tilt it. I think it was a cool game. It looked really great. Story was decent. This is a prequel, I believe, to the original Uncharted. Does this have reversible artwork? No. Just gives you the since there's no manuals, it has the instructions on the back of the artwork. But I enjoyed this game quite a bit. And the controls were a little tough at first, but once you get used to them, it works fairly well. But it was a cool game. This is one where I'd actually played again on the Vita. I haven't turned my Vita on in a while. I think it fucking still works. But Golden Abyss, definitely a cool game. Nolan North is back as well as the voice of Drake. I think he might be the only one there that you'd know. I think the other people are just characters specifically for this game, but I could be wrong. It's been a while. But Uncharted Golden Abyss. I've talked about these next two games quite a bit. The Sinking City. This is on the PS. You can get these on the newer systems as well, but this actually has a map with it too, which is sweet. And a DLC card that I did not use. I got this from GameFly. That's what it is, right? And it's cool because when you get games from them, you'll get the case, the manual, and everything. Like even when you rent games from I used to join the service to rent games. If you decide to keep the game, they'd send you the case manual. DLC is not used. Not that I use DLC most of the time anyway. It's usually just for like extra guns or little outfits and stuff that I'm like, I don't give a shit. This is a cool game though. It's a survival horror game, but it's like a detective game too. You play what the hell's this guy's name? Does it say it here? No. But you go to the Sinking City. It's like half underwater. Not half underwater, but part of it's underwater. And you got to get in a boat and go there. You got to like look at your map. You got to figure out clues. You got to go to the precinct, or you got to go to the hospital to find out like when a guy's been arrested or what a person was in the hospital for. And you got to like figure it out when looking at it by looking through your notes and interviews you do with people. It's a really cool game. Combat's decent. The controls are a bit clunky here and there. It's got a throwback feel to it, and graphically it looks okay, but it ain't top of the line. But I enjoyed it. And of course, you guys going a little nuts because it's Cthulhu and everything. It's got like 4 different endings. I remember, I'm getting these achievements. Like literally each ending was right at the end of the game. You'd get the different endings, but just by making certain choices at the way end. These like 50-point achievements. I'm doing them all. Like I knew the one I wanted to do the first time. Then I'm like, okay, I'm doing that. I think it was like 2 other ones. And there's like pretty cool side quests in here as well. The Shamblers in this one. You have to kill the Shambler with a certain knife, the right knife, and stuff. Really cool game. And then you can run around, and then you have the. I think once you get to like street signs too, I believe you can fast travel to other street signs and stuff. I think you do that in this, but like I said, it was cool going to the hospital, the precinct. There was the library, I believe, as well, was another place. You do your research to figure out what's going on and stuff. It's a really cool game. I remember I played a little bit of it, then I put it down for like a year, and I was like, I want to play something else. I think it was when the fuck did I beat this? Did I literally complete this in like early 24? I don't know. But it was cool. Frogwares is part of this. Interesting enough. I don't know. They're the ones that do the Sherlock Holmes games, I'm pretty sure, so it makes sense that some of this is Sherlock Holmesy. But really cool game. Check this one out. And this last one I've talked about a bunch. Ghostwire Tokyo. I'll probably never see a sequel because it's made by Tango Gameworks, who Bethesda shut down, and now Bethesda's owned by Microsoft. Maybe you'll get another one. Who knows? But awesome game. I've talked about this a ton. This is still the top 5 game for me on the PS5. Cool graphically. You're fighting, the urban legends and stuff. The game starts where this like fog comes through and everybody disappears, and this spirit attaches itself to you. That's why you don't disappear. And you go through the game, you're saving people's souls and stuff, and you like go to the phone booth and you put them all in there. And the thing the spirit that attached itself to you, that's how you fight. You fight through him. So it's like fire, water, wind attacks. You can upgrade them. Game looks nice. Combat's fun. These guys also did the Evil Within games. So there's some creepy, bizarre looking enemies. Well, bosses, I should say. The enemies are kind of all based on like urban legends types, like the slit-mouthed woman, and well, maybe not. Maybe just her. I don't know. Maybe some of the other ones are too. It's cool though. The combat's fun. You gotta like take their core out of the spirit. You can kind of stealth them. You get a bow and arrow at one point too. You can take them out. It's a fun game, and you get upgrades to your stuff, and you're bouncing all over the place, doing all types of shit. It's cool. And there's collectibles and stuff. There's yokai in here. The yokai cat is like. He's the shop guy. You bring him all types of different things. There's cool side quests in this as well. Especially the one that I guess was DLC. and you go into a school, and there's a part where in health class there was the body, the body that had all like the heart, the lungs, and stuff. When you leave the room with this thing in it, it will follow you. You turn around and it stops, and then you hear it. And shit. It's cool. Whenever you turn around, it starts following you again. It's really cool. This is an awesome game. Check this one out. I don't know if it's getting a little pricey. It probably isn't. I got it for like $20 originally when I got it, but then it like jumped up in price. Not by a ton or anything, but see, there's some of the enemies there too. The school kids, no hit. This guy with the umbrella. Definitely a cool game. Really cool game, actually. It's got a lot of style to it too. Like it has a nice look to it, and the style's nice. And I don't know like how accurate it is to Tokyo if the layout's exact. I don't know. I've never been. I would assume it probably is somewhat accurate. And there's also they have the torii gates that like when you cleanse those, it opens up more area that you can see. It's like fog covering stuff, and then it's like in Assassin's Creed, when you go up and you see everything and stuff appears. Just an awesome fucking game. Play this one as well. But yeah, I should have seen. You see, with the gum, like I'm creating like juices in there. Like without it, I should have brought a drink in because I'm like I'm talking too much. But I'm gonna stop there. Just talked about some barely anything I've been playing, but just video game stuff in general. Just talking about stuff. Some games I think you should check out if you haven't, and whatnot. And like once again, if you do like videos without gum, give this one a like, comment on it, check it out, because the better these things view, I'll do more of them. Like I'm not gonna put these videos up consistently if they're if they're not even cracking 1,000 views in the first 24 hours. But anyway, I like doing them. I have no problem not chewing the gum, but I do need to bring water in though. So let me know if you like this. Because even if it gets, like, it doesn't need to view incredibly, but if I'm getting a lot of interaction, likes, and comments, I'll be like, okay, cool. There's an audience there, though. At least there's interaction and stuff. But anyway, just a video game